Now let us look at this idea of magnitude of a vector. We have already seen basically what magnitude of the vector is. So if I have a vector, its length is what we call the magnitude, right? The vector could point in any direction. So suppose the vector was of this length. These are all different vectors, but they all have the same magnitude. Now how do I find out what is the magnitude if I have given the vector in this form? Okay, so suppose I come up with a vector and say that this is xi cap plus yj cap, right? Then what would be its magnitude? You can write this is x, right? So this is the xi cap part and this is the yj cap part, correct? Now you know from Pythagoras theorem that this one, let me call this vector A, then A vector square, the magnitude of A square, which I am just going to call A square, must be equal to this square plus that square, so x square plus y square. This is not the vector A, this is the magnitude of A, we write it as, so we call this magnitude of the vector and we call this just simply the letter A without the arrow on the top, right? You know that. So this statement, basically what does it mean? It means magnitude of A vector, which is A, is root of x square plus y square. It is always a positive quantity. You are talking about just the length of this vector. Now, this vector and this vector, they are not equal, but they have equal magnitude. For example, if I drew a circle like this, if I took a vector here, this length is equal to that length. But this fellow will have a different x and a different y, but x1 square plus y1 square will be this square. And x square plus y square is that square. And you will find that this and this will be the same, though the x1 and the y1, they are different. Okay. The second important thing is for us to be able to find out what this angle made by the vector with the I direction, or we say horizontal direction, x-axis. What is the angle made by this vector A with respect to the x-axis, positive x-axis? That is the I direction, right? Now what is this? X, I cap. But what is the length? X. What is this length? Y. Right? This vector is xi cap plus yj cap. What is tan of theta? What is tan of theta? Y by x. So we say the angle theta, you just simply reverse this and you say theta is tan inverse of y by x. Now this is something that you need to get used to. This is not, does not mean 1 by tan of y by x. Tan inverse means finding the angle. Okay. So for example, unfortunately, sine square theta, what does that mean? That means sine theta whole square. Sine cube theta. Sine theta whole cube. Sine power minus 2 theta. 1 by sine theta whole square. All this is true. Same thing with tan. Tan cube square is tan theta whole square. Tan cube theta is tan theta whole cube. But when you write it this way, it does not mean sine power minus 1. Mathematicians unfortunately have messed up a little bit. Okay. This does not mean not equal to 1 by sine theta. This already has a name. It is called cosecant theta. If I write 1 by tan theta, I have a name for it, cot theta. So mathematicians decided, since you already have a nice name for it, why use this symbol? We will use this to mean the inverse, basically finding the angle. So this alone is not the same as the other symbols. This is not equal to. Okay, please keep that in mind. So tan inverse y by x, it does not mean 1 by tan of y by x. It does not mean. What does it say? It just simply means the same as that. What is the angle such that tan theta is y by x? Is that okay? So for example, if I tell you tan theta is root 3. You know that tan of 60 degrees is root 3, right? So you will write theta is tan inverse of root 3. Now tan inverse of root 3 is 60 degrees. Or in radians, we usually write this saying pi is 180 degrees. So pi divided by 3 radians. Okay, so we'll either say 60 degrees or pi by 3. Many times you will end up saying pi by 3 for radians. So I hope this is clear. Tan inverse simply means the angle whose tan is y by x. Okay, so what is this angle that the vector makes? Do y by x, tan inverse of y by x. Now there are some small points that we need to worry about a little later, because the angle could be this way. The vector could have components in that direction. Okay. Now let us also do a few more things. Now this length is a. X by a. What is x by a? Cos theta. X by a is cos theta. What is y by a? Y by a is sin theta. So what is x? A cos theta. So you write this is a cos theta I cap. And you can write this is a sin theta j cap. This is called the x component or I component. Usually we will write a vector is ax I cap plus ay j cap. Ax is called the x component, ay is called the y component. So ax is what? It is a cos theta. A cos theta. This is the angle you are bending it by. Okay, so a cos theta gives you this. If this is a cos theta, this must be a sin theta. So a cos theta I cap plus a sin theta j cap. So this is called the x component and this is called the y component. Now I have given you a vector which is pointing in this direction, right? Now if the vector points like that, its x component will be negative. It is possible that this fellow was negative. You may be wondering, how can cos theta be negative? But you will learn that soon, because once the angle becomes more than 90, cos theta is pointing in this direction. Basically this is the angle. It is no longer the regular trigonometry that you know, but once the angle becomes large, a cos theta, the cos theta itself is negative. Okay, but definitely you know that the component is in this direction, right? So it is obviously negative. And then this value is positive. If the angle turns out like this, then this is also negative, this is also negative. And if it turns this way, or if you basically bend the arrow that way, the x component is positive, but the y component is negative. But right now all we need to know is a cos theta is the x component, a sin theta is the y component, theta is the angle made by this. A is never negative. This is a, right? This is never negative, that is the magnitude. So two things. If I am given xi cap plus yj cap, x component, y component are given, you can find a and you can find the angle. But if I am given a and theta, I am not given x and y, I am given a and theta, can I find x? Yes, a cos theta. And can I find y? A sin theta. Okay, let us just learn to do this with a couple of examples, then we will be able to use it in solving problems. So now let us look at this vector, and I want to find its magnitude. Let me call this a vector, and I also want to find its angle that it makes with the x-axis. So if this is 2i plus 2j cap, you know that this must be length 2 and that must be length 2. So this must be root of 2 square plus 2 square, 4 plus 4, 8, right? Root of 8, which is 2 root 2. Okay? So the length is root of 2 square plus 2 square. Basically root of x square plus y square. So that's very straightforward. And you want this angle theta. Tan theta is y by x. The y value by x value is going to give me 1. So theta must be tan inverse of 1. Tan inverse of 1 is 45 degrees. Okay, because tan of what gives you 1? 45 degrees. So this angle is 45 degrees. It is plus 45 degrees because you are going in this direction. If you start going this way, the angle would be called minus 45 degrees. Okay, so this angle in this anti-clockwise direction, it is basically considered positive. Now let us take this case. So here I have an arrow which has length 12 meters and it makes an angle 60 degrees. I want to find its x component and y component. This would be the x component, that would be the y component. So what is x component? So suppose this was a vector, ax is a cos 60, a cos 60. So what is cos 60? 12 cos 60 degrees. Cos 60 degrees is half, right? So 12 into half, 6. So this is 6 meters. And then if I look at this ay, that will be 12 sine 60. Okay. Now what is sine 60? Root 3 by 2. So 12 into root 3 by 2. So that cancels out, giving us 6 root 3. So you can rewrite a vector like this. You can say a vector is 6 I cap plus 6 root 3 j cap. And since we are using the units of meters, so this must be 6 I cap plus 6 root 3 j cap meters. Sometimes if this was not a displacement vector, but it was velocity vector, it will basically have units meters per second. If it was force vector, it may have so many newtons. But that doesn't change. It is still 6 I cap newtons plus 6 root 3 j cap newtons. Because now it is a displacement vector, it says 12 meters, we are writing the units as meters. Now let us take a vector like this. So let us say that this was 8 newtons. It's a force vector. And I want to write it as a vector form. The force makes an angle of 30 degrees. I should be saying that it is minus 30 degrees with the x-axis. But right now let's just consider the 30 degrees. How much is this? 8 cos 30. If I am bending it this way, this angle is theta. If I bend it this way, this angle is theta. In fact, if you thought this was the x-axis and you basically bend it like this angle would be theta. Then this component, see, you don't know what direction x-axis. X-axis can be like this, can be like this. Usually we call this y-axis. But if I have a x-axis in this direction, if I took the board and tilted it, so that means it will be in this direction, right? So if x-axis points like this, you are making an angle with the x-axis. Now this is the x-axis, you are making an angle of 30 degrees with the x-axis. So what is this? 8 cos 30. Cos 30 is root 3 by 2. So this is 4 root 3 newtons. I cap direction, units, newtons. Now if you look at this, you're going down. But size wise, this is 8 sine 30. 8 into sine of 30 degrees, which is half, that will give me 4. But I'm going 4 units downwards. So what should I say? Minus 4 j cap newtons. Now you might be thinking, but shouldn't I just write 8 sine theta? You should write 8 sine, but the theta is not plus 30, you should say minus 30 degrees. Later you will learn that sine of minus 30 degrees is minus sine 30 degrees. So that means that minus comes in here itself. Whereas cos of minus 30 degrees will be plus cos of 30 degrees. When you learn trigonometry, you will learn some of these things. But right now, let's not worry. You know that this length is 8 into sine 30, which is 4. But that is pointing downwards. So that means it must be minus 4 j cap newtons. So therefore, this arrow, let me call this F. I can write F as so much I cap, so much j cap. So how much I cap? 4 root 3 I cap minus 4 j cap newtons. Quick check. Is the magnitude of F 8? Should be, no? So magnitude of F must be what we call just F without the arrow. But that must be equal to root of this square plus this square. What is root of 4 root 3 square? 4 square into 3. 4 square into 3. Plus minus 4 square. Minus 4 square and 4 square is the same. So just simply 4 square into 1 basically. Because 4 square is just 4 square into 1. 4 square into 3, 4 square into 1, 4 square into 4. What is root of 4 square into 4? Root of 4 square is 4 and root of 4 is 2. So you will get 8. You can quickly calculate. This is 16 into 3, 16 into 3 is 48, 48 plus 16 is going to give me 64, root of 64 is 8, and you need to get 8. Okay, is that clear? So from magnitude and angle you can find the components. So what is the x component? 4 root 3. What is the y component? Minus 4, not 4, minus 4. Okay, what is the x component? 6. What is the y component? 6 root 3. So you have to be very careful about the plus minus sign. So but from the vector and the angle, the magnitude and the angle, you can find the vector in the ij notation, and from the vector in the ij notation you can find the magnitude and you can find the angle. So you should be able to go back and forth. So is that hopefully clear? Let us now learn when two vectors are equal. Then we will look at when they are parallel. So two vectors are equal if you have, so let us take these two fellows. Okay, so if I take this vector and this vector, now these two vectors are the same length and they have the same direction, then these vectors are equal. But if I basically tilt this vector and this vector have the same length, but they are not equal because they don't have the same direction. So this vector, if I took this vector and I moved this vector anywhere, I still get the same vector A. Is that clear? So if I took this vector and keeping it parallel, I just simply move it. What has not changed is the length. The length has not changed. The direction has also not changed, but the starting point and the ending point have changed. Now there is a small problem here. If I say that this vector is A vector, and I say I am moving this vector here, and I call this, I can call this also A vector. Why? Because it has not tilted. If I did this, not the same vector. Okay, or if I basically said, let's take this vector and shorten this vector. So we'll only think of this as the vector, not the same. So if the vector has become longer or shorter or has changed direction, it is not the same vector. So two vectors are equal if they have the same length and they have the same direction. So basically, obviously, these two must be parallel to each other. So all you are doing is to take this vector and you are moving this vector from here to this place. So is it allowed to move vectors? Yes. These are all called free vectors. They are free to move from place to place. Now you also know that there is a way to write vectors. This is starting point A, starting point B. So we call this vector AB. So what is this vector? Also AB. But is the starting point A? No, right? The starting point is something else. So let's call this C, call that D, CD. But if the vector A and this vector, this is also A, then AB vector is equal to CD vector. A point is not equal to C, but the vectors are equal because all you have done is move it. So whenever you know A is equal to B, that means from here all you are doing is to move it and you are getting to the second vector. So I hope that is clear. If you turned it, it is not equal. So AB does not have to, AB vector need not start at A. Please keep that in mind. It need not start at A, it could start at C. Is that understood? So even this is AB vector. This point is not A, but the vector is AB because this vector is AB and that vector is equal to this vector. Clear? Okay. Then let us look at this idea of two vectors being parallel to each other. What does that mean? Well, these two vectors are parallel to each other. You know that if I have vector A and I basically create a double vector which is 2 times 2A, 3A, if I said that this vector was k times A, k is a number, is k times A parallel to A? It is, right? Correct? Now if I look at another vector which was here, but it was parallel, this must be so many times A, right? It must have some length, this has some length. So this must be maybe some, let us say, P times A. If it is P times A, it is parallel to A. And if it is parallel to A, it must be P times A. Now there is a small problem because what about this vector? This is also parallel to A, because all I have done is to change direction. Or if I look at this vector, this may be minus 17 times A vector. But this is also parallel, except the direction is opposite. So we call this anti-parallel. So we say A parallel to B if A vector is some k times B vector, or B vector is k times A vector, k positive. But if k is negative, then one vector is like this, the other vector is like that. We call these also parallel. Mathematically it's still parallel, but we call these anti-parallel because they are in the opposite direction. So if k is negative, then we call it anti-parallel. Is that okay? So two vectors are anti-parallel, means they are parallel, they are in the same direction, except it is not the same direction as in that direction, same line, okay, but the direction has got reversed. Now it can be any magnitude, the magnitude doesn't matter. Two vectors are parallel, okay, and the lengths are equal, not anti-parallel, positive, this kind of parallel, then they must be equal. Because they are pointing the same direction, magnitude is the same, so they must be equal. Okay, is that clear? Right. So there is one simple idea that we need to keep in mind. All these vectors are free vectors. That means it doesn't stick here, it doesn't have to start here, it can be moved around. But there is one kind of vector that we are going to focus on which cannot be moved around. Its starting point is fixed. Okay, it is called the position vector. So now let us look at the difference between free vectors and what we are calling position vectors. So let us say that this was our coordinate system. If I have a vector sitting here, that vector we can move anywhere, right? Most vectors are free vectors. Velocity, free vector. You can say it has this velocity here, but you can basically move the velocity vector there and there's no problem. Same thing, displacement is a free vector. You can start and you talk about this displacement, you can move it somewhere else. Force, free vector, right? Now we talk about position vector to talk about the position of an object. If I took this object here, I can say that this has a coordinate x1, y1. You know that we can write this as x1, y1. If I say that the starting point is the origin, I can draw this vector r1. Usually we use the symbol r to say position vector. r1, I am going to look at this arrow. Think about this arrow. This arrow has x1 I cap, y1 j cap. So I can write this fellow here as x1 I cap plus y1 j cap. So the position vector of A, point A, we say is x1 I cap plus y1 j cap. So what is the coordinate? x1, y1. So if I tell you the position vector of a point is 2i plus 5j, what is the coordinate of that point? 2, 5. Okay, the coordinate of the point is 2, 5. Why? Because the position vector is an arrow starting always at the origin, 0, 0. It starts here. If it starts here and goes 2 this way, what is my x coordinate? 2 plus 5j. What is my y coordinate? 5. So 2, 5. Very simple. Now you take this point and let's call this point B, and let's say the coordinate was x2, y2. So that means from here to there you had an x2, y2. So therefore what is this arrow? We'll call this vector r2, position vector 2. Okay, so how much is this? x2 I cap plus y2 j cap. Now the interesting thing is, if I go from A to B, we will call this vector AB vector. Now is AB vector position vector? What do you think? No, because it doesn't start at the origin, it starts at A. It has to start always at the origin. All position vectors start at the origin. If you are a position vector, you must start from the origin. Otherwise you can't be a position vector. Which means I cannot move this. Because if I move this vector, that will not be a position vector because it won't be starting at the origin. So position vector will tell you the end point. It's starting at 0, it is telling you the end point. But what is this fellow? This is called the displacement vector. I am getting displaced from A to B. What is my final arrow? R2. Initial arrow? R1. So AB is the displacement arrow, and we write it like this: final arrow minus initial arrow. Is that clear? R2 minus R1 is the displacement, final minus initial. Right? If I took this displacement and put it in here, equal amount, now this vector is parallel to that vector, but this is position vector. That is not position vector. I hope that is clear, right? Now if I put this in, I'll get some position, but this point is not the same as that point, right? So this is a displacement vector, position vector, position vector, position vector. Okay. These two vectors are equal, but this is a position vector, so it cannot be moved, but that's a different vector. That's a free vector. It can be moved around. Okay. Right. So if I look at this R2 minus R1, you can write that as x2 minus x1, x2 minus x1 I cap plus y2 minus y1 j cap. So you can see that displacement is a change in position, final position minus initial position. The reason we write that is because we can write position as a vector and we can subtract. Otherwise, what do you mean by subtraction? With position A and B, how do you do B minus A? You can't do. But with vectors R2 minus R1, of course you can do. So that is exactly what we mean when we say displacement is a change in position. So I hope that is clear. Okay, so we will keep using position vector. Now, suppose I say I had a position vector which was minus 5 I cap plus 7 j cap. So this is a position vector. And then I had a displacement of minus 8 I cap plus 4 j cap. Right? What is my final position? Well, this vector plus that vector you can add. How much is that? Minus 5 minus 8. So what is this arrow? Minus 13 I cap 7 4. So plus 11 j cap. That means this coordinate must be minus 13 comma 11. I hope that is clear. So basically, once you know position vectors, displacements are easy. You know one position plus displacement, that will tell you what your final position is. Many times we will not draw the origin. What we will do is we will say there is the origin somewhere. This point is R1 vector. This point is R2 vector. So this vector is R2 minus R1. Where is the origin? Somewhere. So R1 vector, R2 vector, R2 minus R1. But we will never draw. See, here I have actually drawn and shown you. But many times we won't draw. We will just refer to each point as R1 vector, R2 vector, R3 vector. So take 3 points. 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. R1 vector, R2 vector, R3 vector. Now I am not drawing arrows. I am making points itself vectors. Slight change. Vector was an arrow. Now I don't draw the arrow, I will just call this point. So A is R1 vector. But A is a point. So what do I mean by saying A is an R1 vector? 0 to origin to A is R1 vector. So sometimes we will write it like this. OA is the position vector R1 vector. It's always OA. Why? Position vector must start at O. So we have learned a lot of different concepts here. Right? So basically, when you do problems, you will basically start to apply these ideas. So my suggestion is, look at each of the concepts carefully, take down notes, you understand what you are talking about. There are lots of words here. So when you say position vector, it means starting at the origin. You don't have to say the starting point. So position vector of A, R1 vector. When you say magnitude, you mean something. When you say angle, you mean with respect to the x-axis, right? Now there are lots of words that you are basically using in vectors. So we need to understand those words carefully. And the best way to do it is to basically apply it to a whole bunch of problems.